The Boston Chess Championship buzzed with anticipation as players gathered in the Grand Hotel ballroom. Marble columns framed the space where 50 chess tables stood in perfect rows, each set with pristine boards and gleaming pieces. Among the crowd of confident competitors, Olivia Reed slipped in, almost unnoticed. At 32, Olivia owned a small bookstore across town, where she spent most days surrounded by classics and contemporary fiction. Her chestnut hair was pulled back in a simple bun, wire-rimmed glasses perched on her nose, and she wore a modest blue cardigan that helped her blend into any background. Few would guess that behind her quiet demeanor lay a strategic mind that had been honed through thousands of chess matches, played alone after closing her shop each night. "Registration?" asked the attendant, barely looking up from her computer. "Yes, please, Olivia Reed." Her voice was soft but clear. The attendant paused, reviewing the screen. "You're not rated. This is a championship qualifier," the flyer said. "All skill levels welcome," Olivia replied, clutching her small chess notebook. With a shrug, the attendant handed her a badge. "Table 17. Good luck, you'll need it." Across the room, Anthony Vega held court. At 45, he was the undisputed king of the regional chess circuit. His tailored charcoal suit and confident stance spoke of someone accustomed to domination, both on and off the board. 5 championship trophies lined his office shelf, and he fully intended to add a 6th today. "Fresh meat this year?" Cantony asked the tournament director, Jeremy Watts. "Same faces mostly," Jeremy replied, "though we have a few newcomers." "Nothing for you to worry about?" Anthony's laugh echoed through the room. "There never is." When the first round began, Olivia sat across from her opponent, a college student named Philip, who immediately started explaining basic chess principles to her. "First tournament?" he asked with a patronizing smile. "Yes," she answered simply, arranging her pieces with careful precision. "Well, the important thing is to have fun," Philip said, clearly expecting an easy victory. 15 minutes later, his expression had transformed from confidence to confusion. Olivia's moves flowed with quiet efficiency, each piece finding perfect positioning. By move 23, Philip stared at the board in disbelief. "Checkmate," Olivia said softly. 2 more rounds passed with similar results. Olivia moved through the tournament like a gentle breeze, leaving bewildered opponents in her wake. Her games weren't flashy, they were methodical, precise, and devastatingly effective. Anthony noticed her during the 3rd round. "Who's that?" he asked Jeremy, nodding toward table 17, some bookstore owner. "First tournament, apparently, and she's made it to round 4? Anthony's eyebrow arched with skepticism. "Pure luck, with easy brackets," Jeremy assured him. Anthony watched her finish her game another victory. Something about her measured movements and calm focus triggered his competitive instinct. If they met in the finals, he'd make quick work of her, he decided. Nothing reinforced his reputation like crushing a newcomer's dreams on a public stage. Little did Anthony know that Olivia Reed had been playing chess since she was 5. Taught by her grandmother, forgotten chess prodigy. From the 1950s, who'd been barred from major competitions due to her gender, and everything Olivia knew about chess had been passed down through generations of women who played in the shadows. The tournament board updated, showing the semi-final pairings. Anthony smiled when he saw his path to the finals would likely cross with the mysterious bookstore owner. The semi-final rounds of the Boston Chess Championship drew a larger crowd than expected. Word had spread about the unassuming bookstore owner who had methodically dismantled her opponents. Spectators gathered around table 9 where Olivia faced Thomas Foster, a stern mathematics professor with a regional reputation. "Heard you've had quite a run," Thomas remarked, adjusting his glasses. "Sometimes beginners get lucky with unorthodox moves that throw off experienced players." Olivia smiled politely, perhaps. From 3 tables away, Anthony observed their interaction while preparing for his own semi-final match. He'd dismissed the rumors at first a novice on a lucky streak, but something about Olivia's posture as she contemplated the board suggested genuine confidence. The match began, and Thomas employed his signature Queen's Gambit, a strategy that had earned him consistent success. Olivia's response seemed conventional at first, but by move 12, Spectators began whispering. Her positioning created subtle pressure points across the board that Thomas struggled to address. "Remarkable defensive structure," murmured Eleanor Barnes, a chess columnist who had come to cover Anthony's expected triumph, but found herself drawn to Olivia's table instead. Anthony's own semi-final match required little concentration. His opponent, a nervous insurance broker, made critical errors early. This left Anthony free to observe Olivia's game. What he witnessed disturbed him. Her moves displayed an understanding of positional chess that went beyond mere talent. Each piece worked in perfect harmony, creating a gradually tightening web. When Thomas resigned after 37 moves, a ripple of applause spread through the room. Anthony frowned. This wasn't beginner's luck. This was mastery disguised as modesty. During the brief intermission before the final round, Anthony approached Jeremy. "What do we know about her?" Olivia Reed. "Owns Cornerstone Books on Maple Street. No competitive history whatsoever." "That's impossible," Anthony insisted. "Nobody plays like that without years of training." Eleanor Barnes joined their conversation. "I just spoke with her. Apparently her grandmother taught her. Interesting woman, says she plays mostly against herself in the evenings." Anthony scoffed. "Playing against yourself doesn't prepare you for tournament pressure." "She doesn't seem to feel pressure," Eleanor observed. "That's what makes her fascinating." The announcement came for the championship match. Anthony straightened his tie and approached table 1, where Olivia already sat, waiting, her expression serene. "Olivia Reed," he said, extending his hand. "Anthony Vega, 5-time regional champion."
"I don't know
"Who you are, Mr. Vega," she replied with a gentle smile. "I've read your book on middle game strategies." Anthony blinked, momentarily thrown off balance. "You've read my book?" "I own a bookstore. I read everything about chess I can find." As they began playing, Anthony deployed an aggressive opening, determined to overwhelm this upstart quickly. But Olivia responded with moves that seemed to anticipate his strategy, neutralizing his attacks before they fully formed. By move 15, Anthony realized he faced not just a talented amateur, but a genuine chess mind, one that somehow had remained hidden from the competitive world until today. For hours into the championship match, the atmosphere in the hall had transformed. What began as a predictable coronation for Anthony had become a masterclass delivered by an unknown bookstore owner. The spectators, initially there to witness Anthony's expected triumph, now watched in fascination as Olivia maintained her subtle advantage. Move 47. Anthony studied the board intensely, aware that his position was compromised, but not yet defeated. He had underestimated Olivia catastrophically, and that realization stung his professional pride. Yet alongside his competitive frustration grew something unexpected, genuine respect.
"I
"May I ask you something?" Anthony said, breaking the tense. Silence. Olivia looked up, her eyes questioning. "Why now? If you play at this level, why have you never competed before?" She considered the question carefully. "My grandmother believed chess was about the joy of the game, not trophies. I play for the same reason. This tournament was ... To." She paused. An impulse, I suppose. The bookshop was closed for renovations this week. Anthony couldn't help but laugh up. Genuine sound that surprised even himself. "You're rewriting regional chess history because you had free time?" A small smile touched her lips. Something like that. Their exchange drew curious glances from the audience, who had expected tension, not conversation. Anthony returned his attention to the board, seeing it now with fresh eyes. Olivia's strategy wasn't just effective, it was elegant. Each piece supported multiple functions, creating a harmony of position he rarely encountered. "Your grandmother taught you well," he said, moving his bishop to counter her advancing pawns. "She did," Olivia agreed, "though much of what I know comes from playing against myself and analyzing historical games. Your book was particularly helpful with understanding pawn structures." Anthony felt a strange warmth at her words. For years, he had measured success through intimidation and domination, yet here was someone who approached chess with pure appreciation for its beauty and complexity. "Check," he said, finding a temporary advantage. Olivia nodded appreciatively at his move, before calmly shifting her king to safety. The maneuver simultaneously strengthened her position, threatening his remaining knight. The tournament director approached, reminding them they were approaching the time limit. Final moves would need to be accelerated. Anthony studied the board one last time, calculating possible sequences. With clarity, he saw that while he could prolong the game, the outcome was inevitable. In 8 moves, perhaps 10, with perfect defense, Olivia would achieve checkmate. For the first time in his competitive career, Anthony felt no bitterness in this recognition. Instead, he experienced something approaching wonder at discovering such talent hidden in plain sight. "I think," he said quietly, "we both know where this is heading." Olivia met his gaze, her expression neither triumphant nor apologetics, simply present in the moment they shared across 64 squares. The Boston Chess Championship concluded not with Anthony's expected victory speech, but with a moment that would be discussed in chess circles for years to come. After 53 moves, Anthony Vega, 5-time champion and renowned chess tactician, extended his hand across the board. "I resign," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the hushed room. "Magnificent game, Ms. Reed." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Anthony Vega never resigned. He fought to the bitter end, often forcing opponents to play out obviously lost positions. Olivia accepted his handshake with the same quiet dignity she had shown throughout the tournament. "Thank you for a beautiful game, Mr. Vega." As the tournament director approached with the championship trophy, Anthony stepped back, allowing Olivia her moment of recognition. He watched as cameras flashed and Eleanor Barnes eagerly approached for an exclusive interview with the unexpected champion. "Never seen play like that outside international competition," Jeremy said, joining Anthony at the edge of the crowd. "How did we miss her all these years?" Anthony shook his head. "We weren't looking. We were too busy watching ourselves." After the formal ceremonies concluded, Anthony found Olivia gathering her belongings. The crowd had thinned, leaving them in a quiet corner of the hall. "Would you consider joining the chess club?" he asked. "We meet Thursdays. The members would benefit enormously from your insight." Olivia considered this. "Perhaps, though, Thursdays. Are poetry reading nights at my bookstore?" "Tuesdays, then," Anthony suggested. "I could help you prepare for the national qualifiers next month. Your style would translate well to higher competition." She smiled. "Are you offering to coach the person who just defeated you?" "I'm offering to learn alongside someone who clearly has much to teach," he replied with surprising honesty. Grandmother's approach to chess, it's refreshing. I've been playing by rote for too long. Olivia studied him with the same thoughtful attention she'd given the chessboard. "Tuesday evenings might work. The store closes at 6. Anthony felt an unexpected lightness. For years, chess had been about domination, about proving his superiority. Today, he had rediscovered what had drawn him to the game as a child, its infinite beauty and the joy of encountering a mind that could show him new possibilities. "One condition," Olivia added, zipping her chess set into its case. "We alternate between the chess club and my bookstore. I think you might benefit from those poetry readings too." Anthony laughed. "Chess and poetry? An unusual combination?" "Not really," she replied. "Both require seeing patterns others miss. Both seek truth through structure and creativity." As they walked together toward the exit, Anthony realized that in losing the championship, he had gained something more valuable, a new perspective on the game. He loved, and perhaps the beginning of a friendship built on mutual respect. Checkmate. "Isn't an ending," Olivia said as they reached the doors. "It's just an invitation to set up the pieces and begin again." Anthony nodded, understanding that she wasn't just talking about chess. The championship match drew the attention of everyone in the hall. Anthony's aggressive opening had failed to yield the quick advantage he expected. Now at move 23, with pieces evenly distributed across the board, he decided to employ his other weapon, psychological warfare. "Your defensive style is interesting," he said loudly enough for spectators to hear. Reminiscent of Petrosian in the 1960s, though, he had formal training, of course. Olivia's eyes remained on the board. "Thank you. His games against Spassky were particularly instructive." Anthony moved his knight, deliberately brushing his sleeve against the table to rattle her concentration. Playing in bookstores is quite different from championship pressure. Many promising players crumble in the spotlight. I imagine they might, Olivia replied, making her countermove without hesitation. Anthony leaned forward. Did you know I once played simultaneous matches? Against 12 players? Won every game in under 2 hours? Impressive, she said, then added quietly, though my grandmother once played 23 simultaneous games at a community center. All wins, no draws. This unexpected response made Anthony pause. Your grandmother was a competitive player?
Ah!
Wanted to be, Olivia replied, capturing one of his pawns with a subtle move he hadn't anticipated. Women weren't exactly welcomed in championships in her day. Anthony found himself increasingly unsettled. His usual intimidation tactics bounced off Olivia like raindrops off glass. Worse, her last move had revealed a weakness in his kingside. He hadn't noticed. The audience had grown, with several local players gathering to witness Anthony's expected triumph. Instead, they watched him shift uncomfortably in his chair as Olivia maintained perfect composure. Check, she said softly after her 30-second move. Anthony stared at the board in disbelief. He'd been so focused on his attack that he'd missed her quiet advancement on his king. He had options to escape the check, but all of them would weaken his position further. Interesting choice, he muttered, moving his king to safety, but sacrificing a critical defensive pawn. Olivia offered a small smile. My grandmother always said chess is less about the moves we make and more about understanding why we make them. For the first time in years, Anthony felt genuine uncertainty at the chessboard. This quiet bookstore owner with her simple blue cardigan and unassuming demeanor had not only matched him move for move, but had somehow taken control of the game's psychological dimension as well. Your grandmother, Anthony said, attempting to regain his footing. She never competed formally. They wouldn't let her, Olivia replied, advancing her queen in a move that threatened multiple pieces simultaneously, so she taught me instead. At a round. Them, the spectators whispered as they recognized the precarious position of the reigning champion. Anthony's reputation had been built not just on his chess skills, but on his ability to intimidate opponents. Yet here sat Olivia Reed, unmoved by his status, playing chess with a clarity that made his usual strategic tricks seem transparent. Anthony looked up from the board to study her face, searching for any sign of nervousness or doubt. They found none.